friends, so welcome back to my channel. Today was a beautiful fall day and we are of course getting ready for Thanksgiving, and I wanted to do kind of show you guys a pumpkin pie that I made from scratch this last weekend, but I am filming it for you so you can see it. So I haven't made pumpkin pie in a long time, so I decided to get done with my chores and I let the goats out into the septic field so they can get some fresh grass to graze on while I went in and made a pie for our Thanksgiving. So I'm going to start with, well, of course, always coffee. So I've started wearing aprons more often now because quite frankly, I get myself so messy. And my husband got me this cute apron several years ago and I just finally have been starting to wear it. So I'm using my Better Homes and Gardens. It's from the 1950s, this cookbook. It's one of my absolute favorites. And I am making the, I think it's plain pastry dough is what they call it in there, from scratch. I'm making the smaller size because it was, obviously it's a pumpkin pie, so you don't have a full top and bottom. So it's pretty simple. It's basically just flour, a little bit of salt, and then I also will mix in shortening. My favorite type of shortening is the, they come in like these little tubes almost. They're like a giant stick of butter, and they're so easy to work with. So that is what I use whenever I'm making shortening for my Christmas cookies that I absolutely love, our family's Christmas cookie recipe that we do every year. And then of course pie crust. It seems like a lot of things from the 1950s had shortening in them. So first thing you do is you get all your ingredients together and then you kind of scrunch it up until all the shortening is like about the size, they say it's about the size of peas. And you just kind of continue to kind of get it to where it's kind of, I guess the smaller it is, the more flakier it makes. And then basically you add in your cold water, 1 tablespoon at a time, until you mix it all up and it will start to form a dough, and you can use your hands to manipulate it and make it into a ball of dough, and you set it aside. Now we're gonna set it aside for a bit while we work on the pumpkin pie recipe. So it's really simple and I'm really excited about it because it's not too difficult to do, and I'm hoping it turns out really good. So I'm using canned pumpkin this time, but I'm hoping by next year we'll actually have some pumpkins that'll grow in our garden that I can harvest for pumpkin. So of course adding sugar, and then you're gonna add in all the spices, and a little bit of salt too, I think goes in this recipe. So I start with the salt, and then I add in all the spices. Of course, your cinnamon, I think it's cinnamon, ginger, nutmeg, and cloves, I believe. So it gives you those that's those spices that kind of give you that pumpkin spice smell. And oh man, it smelled so good, even just like mixing just the pumpkin in. I couldn't stop smelling it. So now I'm going to mix in your eggs, and then you do eggs, milk, and then this recipe calls for some evaporated milk, so I put that in there too, making sure it's at the right line before I pour it in. And my bowl is starting to get full, so I was trying not to spill it. Then you mix those separate, and once you get that all mixed up, you very carefully pour it into your rest of your pumpkin mixture, and you just kind of mix it all up until you get that really nice kind of orange pumpkin pie, I guess, color, and then that should pretty much tell you that it's pretty much well mixed. Here's hoping. Now I'm setting that aside, and I'm going to get, so funny story, I apparently loaned out my pie plates to my mother-in-law because she was going to make the pies for Thanksgiving, and I forgot that I was making the pie today, so I ended up using just a 9-inch cake pan. So that is why our pie is going to be a little different than what I was expecting it to look like. So of course I just roll out the pie crust like normal, and just to make it easier on myself, I basically cut around, leaving about a 1/2 inch around the pie plate, or cake plate in this respect, in order to make it work. And then I very, very carefully peeled it off of my countertop, and then I put it into, of course, the cake pan. And I did a terrible job putting it in. So now I am basically going to readjust it, and then I'm actually going to cut a few pieces off the extra and kind of fill it in so that it's a good solid part. So now what I'm doing now is I'm using a cookie cutter and cutting out these cute little mini pumpkin cookie cutters, and we're going to use those as kind of some garnish decoration on the top of our pumpkin pie when it's almost done baking. So now I got my oven all preheated, and I'm gonna very carefully pour the pie mixture into the pan and hopefully not spill it. I ended up making a lot more, so I didn't fill it all the way full because of course the pan was a little bit different. And then I very carefully put it in, and I put it All right, so now we still have 10 minutes on this pie, but it is mostly baked, so now we're going to put our little pumpkins on it. And my daughter Mia wanted to help out, so I let her help me garnish it with the pumpkins, because I do think it's a good idea to, if you can, within reason, let your kids help you cook, because it helps them learn how to cook. My kids are already starting to learn just kind of the basics, and it's really nice. So now we're gonna pop it back in the oven for about 10 more minutes, and then it should be done. All right, so the pie is done. We're gonna take it out of the oven and see how it looks. Oh my gosh, that looks so good. It's still a little wobbly, but it did firm up after a few minutes, so that was very nice. So I hope you guys enjoyed this lovely Thanksgiving pie. I will link the recipe below. It turned out really cute, and all my friends really enjoyed it. So now it is time for me to go back being a mom, and I hope you guys enjoy, and I will see you all next time.